All right, we're live on another Sunday. Today we're going to talk about 10-gallon aquariums. Some of you are super duper jazzed. Some of you are just showing up because it's the Aquarium Co-op live stream and you're doing the water changes or you're listening to it on a podcast at work. But I come here to hang out with you guys and discuss things. And today I was thinking about 10-gallon tanks and how I think they are represented enough in the hobby, but not given the respect they deserve because it seems, I think it's because it seems like a beginner thing. And so if we think of other things, I love to use analogies, but when we learn to eat as kids, we don't start with like a spoon, right? And then we're eating and we're like, yeah, but how about bigger spoons or more expensive spoons? And it's because we've refined a spoon down to it's about as efficient as it can get, and that is just a spoon, right? You could argue spork. You could argue, is it a soup spoon? Is it, a Sunday spoon? There's a little bit of that, but for the most part, everyone's adopted like, hey, spoon's a spoon, a fork's a fork, and we all use them all the time, and it's pretty much optimized. And I think that's actually what has happened with 10-gallon aquariums, but we let the hobby kind of go to our head, and we go bigger is better always, right? And so first I want to talk about what kind of a 10-gallon aquarium I'm talking about, which is also roughly about 40 liters for anyone else outside of America and probably Canada. Maybe even Canada doesn't call them 10s. There's a long history with the 10-gallon aquarium. In fact, it started out not even being 10 gallons. They were called a 10-liter. Not liter like L-I-T-E-R, but L-E-A-D-E-R, leader, like I am the leader. And they were actually a little bit shorter than a 10-gallon aquarium. And so what I'm talking about today is this bad boy that you would buy, the 10-gallon kind of Aquarium 10-gallon tank. Used to be $1 per gallon. Now I think they might be, 12 or 14 bucks on sale and 20 if they're not, or whatever that's going to look like. But I kind of wanted to hold one on camera to just show you like how big a 10-gallon is. In our minds, they're tiny, right? We also forget that most of us are keeping fish that are like this big. And so even the fish behind me are only about that big. And so a 10-gallon can kind of really do it all. And so again, it is this big, which seems big when you hold it. Doesn't seem so big when you fill it up. And so part of that is, if you put 3 or 4 inches of substrate in there, well, you are filling it up quite a bit. And then I think in our mind, if you didn't have one to hold and to look at, you would think, 10 gallons not that big, and you can get any other size. And it's a why not? Why not get a 20 gallon? It's not that much more. But when you think about the reverse, think of a 5-gallon bucket of water. In my mind, and maybe I just have the worst spatial awareness on the planet, a 5-gallon bucket, in my mind, if you set them next to each other, is bigger than the 10-gallon aquarium. I don't know why. Also, or similarly, if you were to take 10 1-gallon jugs of milk and put that next to a 10-gallon, I would say it's like 5 times as big, at least, right? And yet, 10 gallons of milk is the same. And so, or 2 5-gallon buckets, but it's just so efficient in the space of that 10-gallon that we, I think, poo-poo it and go, it's only a 10. But the reality is, I believe the hobby is essentially built around the 10-gallon. It's the most sold aquarium. But in general, whenever you're designing anything, whether it's an air stone, food, a filter, a dechlorinator, right? Buy 10 gallons. And so I think it's actually the most optimal system that's out there. And I've had plenty of 10 gallons in my life. I've had basically every size, I would say. There's not too many. Yeah, I've pretty much sold every size, but used and in quantity, not just like, I had one of those once. When I test out all my tanks and I use them for years, you definitely fall in love with some. And I think the 10-gallon, it's easy to go, well, if I'm going to do something, let's do it bigger and better. And not so much what would be the pluses of having a 10-gallon. So I'm going to go through some of the, I think, the pluses. And the pluses would be everything already exists for a 10 gallon. Heaters are easy to find, filters, medications. And yes, you're going, well, those apply to everything, Corey. Yes, but they're dosed in 10 gallons for the most part. And so it's one packet of medication, right? It's one of these, any of these heaters will work. You have all these filter options. And then you get to save a bunch of money. And that's where I think I'm kind of going with this is the amount of money you're going to save on a 20 gallon versus a 10 gallon. Not so much in just the setup cost, but the long-term running costs of, buying the chlorinator and filter sizes and all of that. It really, we used to sell a ton in the stores called the Eco 10. And that would be just a 10 gallon with a plastic hood you could put a light bulb in. And you could basically retail it out of the store for like $25. And now a lot of people could, keep wicked good fish in just that. And actually that screw and bulb grew plants really well. But that Economy 10 was a magical unit. And in fact, for a long time, this is now like 10 plus years ago, maybe 15 ago now. Wow, I'm getting old. I was literally obsessed with what I called the magical 10 gallon. And I discovered the magical 10 gallon because of the person that was my mentor in building the store, Andy. He kept lots of 10 gallons. He had other sizes too, but 10 gallons. And he could just get the plants growing so well and the fish so healthy, breeding guppies and doing this, that I was like, there's something magical about this because you're accomplishing this and not accomplishing it. If you took the same amount of effort in fish and plants and put it in a 20 gallon, it would do worse than in the 10 gallon. And I was convinced that it was a light to depth ratio. I was convinced, and still am convinced that. I was also convinced that it's so much easier to service in that taking out 5 gallons of water is a 50% water change, where on a 20 gallon, it's only 25%, right? And so the same amount of work, you get less for your money or your time, right? If time is money here, so removing 5 gallons. And what he would do is he would just had a pitcher and he would just dunk it in and like remove a gallon or two, and then he'd refill it out of his bathroom. He would just go fill it up, dump it in. And I'm convinced that that's kind of what made that 10 gallon magical. And it wasn't any specific filtration or food or anything. It was the serviceability of that. Now, what I love about it is you can almost walk into any store and pick up a 10 gallon tank, and they will have supplies for 10 gallon aquariums. Whether you need a glass top, whether you need a little filter, whether you just need fish, it's there. When you want to try things out, I've been so guilty of this, where I try things and I try them on 40 breeders or larger tanks, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, I'll try this substrate. Well, it's 3 bags. Oh, that's $100. Where in a 10 gallon, oh, it's half a bag, right? And so now it's only, you still got to pay the $30 some, but it's only about $15 or $20 to actually test that out. And so I really am just enamored by the 10 gallon. And for a long, long time, anyone on the back channels that would talk YouTube with me, I've told everybody, set up a channel where all you do is 10 gallon aquariums and you'll be very popular, and you'll have there's a huge following if you're good at what you do. And so no one's ever done it that I know of. There's people with lots of 10 gallon tanks out there, but no one that's branded a channel like 10gallonaquariums.com or whatever they're going to do on YouTube. But I'm convinced that everybody at some point has basically had a 10 gallon. They might even have a 10 gallon right now. And at worst, I can convince you to set up another 10 gallon for a quarantine tank because it's so efficient with meds. And they're great for bettas, and they're great for so many animals and fish. Not that made it sound weird, but just so many different species of fish. And there are ones that break it, for sure. But when you really get down to it, a lot of the community fish that we keep here on this channel, depending on quantities, would do really well in a 10 gallon. And so I want to talk about them, just kind of see what you guys thought about them. Someone says the scale is nice. Yeah, I like that they're cheap. I like, and it's not, for some reason, by the way, the magical 10 gallon, that project for me where I really was studying it, going, what is the secret sauce that makes 10 gallons? Because It wasn't just my friend. I had great luck with 10 gallons. Customers had great luck with 10 gallons. And so once it was like everywhere I looked, 10 gallons were disproportionately outperforming larger tanks. I thought, okay, there's something magical here. And I tried to extrapolate that to what about 20 longs? A 20 long is basically just a longer version of a 10 gallon. It almost never translated that way. And I thought it was lighting, like, oh, you're going to go out and buy a light because it's not easy to get a light that's 30 inches. That's not a standard thing at most stores and just available, right? And so I thought it was that. And so then I was convinced that it was actually just the incandescent lights. And there was a whole phase of like 3 years of just incandescent lights, or the Curlicue lights, the CFLs. And I do think a lot of it was that. That was just a good lighting to tank ratio. And if you look at like my Greater Seattle Aquarium Society home show and stuff, you'd see a lot of my tanks were lit that way. But I still think what I was probably missing back then, because I was an eager hobbyist, I still love the hobby, but still infatuated with the hobby, which I still am. I don't know what the right adjective here is, but obsessed, maybe obsessed with the hobby to a crazy degree. I lost my train of thought. We're trying to figure out how obsessed I was, but the 10 gallon just seemed so magical, and it was counter to everything that I was seeing out there of like, why didn't bigger tanks do better? Because everything you would read and you would study, the more water volume you have basically meant better water quality, which was healthier fish, which in theory could be healthier plants and less algae and all of these things. But when you would actually see it in person, you would see the opposite of that. You would see 10 gallons looking pretty good and larger tanks looking pretty bad. And I think after all of this time, having had fish rooms set up on just 20 gallons, having had fish rooms set up with a mix of tanks, just 40 breeders, just ponds, all these things, I'm convinced that it's the maintenance part. It goes back to that, if you got 10 minutes, in 10 minutes, I can make a pretty big dent in making a 10 gallon look better and run better compared to a 55 gallon or 29 gallon. It's not that you wouldn't still improve it. It's that maybe in a 10 gallon, I can service the filter, scrape the algae, and change a pitcher or two of water in 10 minutes if I was hustling. Where in a 29, in 10 minutes, I might get the filter and a quick job on algae on the glass, and then I'd run out of time. And I think over time, which I just said time a bunch there, but over time, week in, week out, if you're kind of hitting the mark on the 10 gallon with your 10 minutes, it's going to look really, really, really good. Where on, let's say, that 29 gallon, you're a little bit under the mark. You're at 80%. But over time, each week, that's getting a little bit worse, a little bit worse. And after 6 or 8 or 10 months, that's where you're really seeing, like, I got a lot of algae, got the blackbeard set in, I got a little bit of cyanobacteria, this is going on. Where if that 10 gallon is, you're going at 100 or 101%, it's actually getting a little bit better with just 10 minutes every week. And so I think that is a big success factor. And I definitely noticed that in my fish room. And so I love systems, I love numbers, I love looking at things like people cleaning aquariums and studying them and things like that. And what I've paid employees and things like that to clean aquariums in here, and watching them work going, oh, that's very interesting. And same thing at the store, watching and learning and developing processes. And so much so that a 10 gallon on its end, so what does that mean? That means like this aquarium is prepped to be on its end. So you see how the back there is painted black, and you can see the reflection here. But to clean the algae in this aquarium on the glass, this little panel would take you less than a minute. You do it to this one, right? This might take you 3 minutes, right? Because it's 3 times as big. And so when you start doing that math of like a 29 gallon to a 10 gallon, and you figure out the area in inches, it's quite a bit more. And that's where something like an 800 gallon or this 150 gallon, that's why it seemingly takes so much longer because it just is that much bigger. It's not always, this 150 gallon isn't 15 times necessarily the work that the 10 gallon is, but at the same time, you get punished in the hobby every time you don't have the time. So let's say it took me 30 minutes or 40 minutes to do this aquarium. Every time I don't have 40 minutes, it will get worse, right? And let's say in life, you're having a great time with the hobby, but on average, every week you've got 30 minutes, right? So you could have the best looking 10-gallon aquarium because it took you 10 minutes, but you spent 30. Or you can have a 150 gallon that gets a little bit worse every week that goes on. And yeah, you might be able to find the time, a lot of us do, where it's like, okay, I do my big clean once a month, or I do my big thing. And I think the difference there is you're, or me, or us, we're in a battle to keep things looking halfway good. Instead of, my thing looks great, how do I make it even a little better? And I definitely run that at my fish room because the average person in this stream has more than one aquarium, right? And so it's not just one 30-minute session or one aquarium in 30 minutes. If your time is limited, and it changes all the time, maybe based on season, maybe you just had a kid, maybe you adopted a cat, maybe you got a promotion at work, whatever that's going to be, that's a moving target. But you have to split the time that you do get between all of your tanks. And so, kind of steering it back to the 10 gallon. The 10 gallon, I believe, is magical because it's so simple. Now, I want to talk about smaller tanks because at some point, the conversation would usually lead there and go, why not go to a 5 gallon, Corey? Well, I don't believe that has the benefits of the scale. And so what I mean is, most things are built for 10 gallons. So meds, all of a sudden, it becomes harder to dose. Same with Easy Green. Same with, Easy Potassium. All of those become harder to dose. It also gets shorter. I think they're only like 8 inches tall, maybe 10. I got to look it up again. I got to remember. So then you start running into plant problems where it's like, oh, the plants, there's so much light on the plants because it's so short. And so oddly enough, 5 gallons aren't great. And for whatever reason in a store, if you have 5 gallons on the shelf, people will buy them like crazy. Because if you haven't kept fish before, a 5 gallon looks small and manageable. And a 10 gallon looks huge. But fast forward 6 months, you've been in the hobby, a 10 gallon looks like you got the small soda at the restaurant, right? And so you're like, well, give me the big one, okay? And so I think that's why we don't see as much success in the Pico tanks, the 5 and the gallons and under, just because then I do think it becomes, you can run this 150 or you can run a 5 gallon tank to look good with those 40 minutes once a week, right? Because you still have the daily maintenance, the checking in, everything doing okay, I'm feeding, hey, what's that doing a thing? I should research that. That all is going to be there no matter what, and the enjoyment. But when it comes to the actual work, most people have a set time. And some people will be like, I got as much time as I want. Most of you might be cleaning your aquariums right now. So you might go, well, I basically spend 2 hours or 8 hours or whatever it is on a weekend day, and that's my fish room day. So you still have a limitation. You probably would downsize if you're like, ooh, it's taking 2 days, right? So I do think everybody's got a limit, and it's changing all the time. And so setting yourself up for the buffer, having the emergency fund of money. If you need $5,000 to get through the month, having $15,000 in the bank account allows for oopsies, where the hardest spot to be is, hey, it costs $5,000, and when the check comes in, it all gets spent, and I'm left with $4 till the next paycheck. And so if we go out of our way to build our aquariums this way, where, hey, I've got a lot of extra time, got a lot of extra buffer, and to really make it successful, I think that's why we get those magic results. And so that's why I want to talk about the 10-gallon tank, because I do believe in it, and it's hard to sell, though. People that walk in, they'll buy one. But if you're like, hey, you should get this 10-gallon aquarium, they're like, how about this 7 or this 29 or this, or I read this online. And I think that a lot of fish calculators and just people, We always say more is better, bigger is better, more filtration's better. And, the theme over the last year is I'm not convinced that that is true, that, that it is more is better, because if you got a free 5,000 gallon aquarium, it would still take an incredible amount of time. So it's not free still. I've got 3 tanks upstairs. On a Saturday, it takes about an hour. 3 tanks downstairs on a Sunday takes about an hour. Trying to get it to every other weekend or even longer. Right, so that's a good point. My aquariums, I like them to basically run as long as they can without needing a lot of intervention. So I'm feeding, I might be doing a little bit of water change, but I don't want to have to trim my plants a ton. I don't want to have to, be moving fish from aggression or anything like that, rescaping if I don't have to. And so I think if one of our goals is to, I guess, prolong the amount of time between maintenance, right? When we do it, let's at least make it as fast and as easy as possible. And I'm convinced that, because at least I think a lot of people are like me from just working with lots of people at the store and then watching the way I work. Like I've got an 800 gallon aquarium with, 200 fish in it. I believe I would get the same enjoyment out of 100 fish in 400 gallons. I also think I'd get the same enjoyment out of 200 gallons and 50 fish. But I have the 800 gallon already, and so when it does, it's time to clean the algae, there's 25 minutes of work. Ugh, terrible. 5 gifted memberships from the Fish Tank Barn. If you haven't, you can check out his channel. He just did a review of the Magic Nano Feed, which has been selling like wildfire. And the response has been great. We're up to 15 reviews. If you have now gotten it and you have fed it, please leave another review, good or bad. More reviews just help. I'm glad to see everybody is thinking it's as magic as I thought it was. I'm not going to come out and just say on the webpage, like, feed's just like baby brine, but a lot of people are leaving that review going, wow, this is like baby brine shrimp, and I don't have to do as much work. So I'm glad to hear that it's going that way for you. Let's see. People are asking, why are 10-gallon tanks so much cheaper in America versus Europe? That I'm not sure. I think it's one of those, we started with give the tank away, sell the fish and the plants and the equipment to make money as a business model long time ago. And over the years, that stuck. Now we're seeing it starting to go away, though. It's a very slow transition, but I knew it was going away the minute it went from $1 a gallon to 50% off tanks. Because, like, what businesses do is, if you're used to buying a 10-gallon aquarium for $10 on sale, right? $1 a gallon. Well, now you mark the 10-gallon to $20 and you put it at 50% off. And everyone goes, yeah, they're still $10, no problem. Great. But then maybe 8 months later, you're like, oh, they're $22 and 50% off. And you're like, it's $11, things going to get more expensive. And you keep doing that until now you start getting to like, oh, geez, aquariums have kind of got expensive. Now, that's good for independent fish stores because we as independent fish stores couldn't even come close to those prices. In fact, there was a time when I literally had a Petco semi deliver tanks to my store because it was that much cheaper than going to the wholesalers. And the crazy part was Petco and me buy our tanks from the same wholesaler. So that's a kind of a crazy thing to be like, yep, just go ahead and back that semi-truck right up to Aquarium Co-op. I've bought all of these from a competing store as opposed to the wholesaler when literally it's coming from the same place. They're owned by the same company. It's real backwards there, but it's such the hoops I got to jump through. So let's see. Yeah, right now, okay, see? Here's the creep I'm talking about. At least in Washington, the Northwest, because I've only got these results when I Google. Yours might be different in a different state. But Aquarium 10 gallons, the everyday price is $29.99. They are currently 50% off to $14.99. So the whole give the aquarium away, they're starting to walk that back. into what I believe will happen long term is that 50% off will be like the new 10 to 15% off on aquariums. He'll be like, oh yeah, oh yeah, aquarium 10 gallons on sale. Got it for $18. All right. Meanwhile, we all know like that's $8 more than they used to be. Everything goes up, right? But I think most businesses, and I've always, from day one at Aquarium Co-op, one of my principles was don't do things that knowingly lose you money. Like, we don't sell feeder fish, that kind of stuff, and tanks at a loss. And I had wholesalers asking me, why don't you keep tanks on hand? I go, I don't want to sell them at a loss. And even right now, we only make 30%, and that sounds like a lot. Like, wow, $100 aquarium, you sell for $130? If you knew how many times things get returned and can't be sold for full price anymore, got a chip in them, credit card fees, all that, like, we still don't make any money on aquariums at 30%. We just don't lose any money. The problem is when you start going, oh, well, I had to pay $27 for a 10-gallon tank, and then you mark that up by 30%. My 10-gallon tanks look crazy overpriced. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to, like, it can sit there. I just don't want to lose money when it leaves through the doors. So, let's see here. I was like, oh no, we got a problem, and then I finished it and it wasn't. But I'll read it anyway. The magic nano feed was supposed to be magical, and it stayed in the water longer. It's just the opposite for me. The fish eat it so fast it just disappears. I thought there was an actual problem. Like, oh no, and then, oh well, it's a good problem to have. I just bought a Marineland 10-gallon at about $15 during the 50% off sale. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Aquariums are pretty much a long-term investment. Yeah, I still, with all of the talk about the cost, I still believe aquariums are one of the best investments you can make in your mental health and just your life in general. The amount of time you can put in and interact with your aquarium to the amount of money you spend, the ratio is awesome. You also could maybe make a little bit of credit and stuff like that at your local fish store. If you can trade some stuff in, you can make some friends. Like, that part is insane to me, how good of a return it is. So I am kind of always championing for, if Cardinal Tetras if they had to be $10, they'd still be worth it. If White Clouds had to be $10, it'd be worth it, because the fact that we get to keep them for so long, and I'm enamored when if we really pull back and just like mute me right now after I say the statement, just think about it. The fact that you can get a fish from pretty much anywhere in the world, and it can live in the room you're in right now, and you can look at it anytime you want, and that fish costs under $50 is kind of mind-blowing to me. Half the fish we keep are less than lunch was. That's a crazy concept to me. I'm just like, wow. Meanwhile, we'll be like, oh, those fish got expensive, but then expensive compared to what they were, not expensive to like what they should really cost for what, I'm in the same camp too, that if dogs were $10,000, they'd be a bargain. At $10,000, a dog is a bargain. The fact that we can adopt one for like $100, screaming deal. Even better, right? Let's see here. Half off tank sales are when they just have lots of seconds tanks. I don't think that's true, because when you talk to the higher ups at Petco and stuff like that, they're all planned. It's not just like, oh, we messed up and we have this many tanks bad. It's literally, you can go talk to the managers and like, oh, well, the next sale will be this. And then 3 months after that, the next sale, and this sale, and this sale, and this sale. Like, show me a Black Friday that hasn't had a half off tank sale in the last like 10 years. I don't think it exists. It probably goes back further, right? And so for a long time, Petco would literally do it every other month for years. And so it really made sense for an independent fish store like me to not bring tanks in, because you were never more than 60 days away from them going on sale. It was a real bad time for tank selling for me. Great. And I told all my customers, go buy it from Petco. I will sell you healthy fish. I will sell you sponge filters. I will save you money in so many other ways, but I cannot save you money on aquariums. So I go there, and then you can come back to me if you'd like. Let's see. When am I going to go fish collecting in the wild again? Hopefully this next year. Wrapping up projects is what we're trying to do. Got the warehouse moved. Got some craziness going on at the old fish store expansion, but there's some light at the end of the tunnel. As long as you're like, I'm looking through a peephole, going, I think there might be light in there. I think I'm going to go towards that. I think that's the way out of this. So we're looking to do that. I never buy full price tanks. I pretty much only buy full price tanks. That just happens to be where I'm at this point. Like whether it's a custom made tank or it's an acrylic tank, or as I was explaining to someone, and by all means, if you're watching, this is not a dig at anybody. I've got a guppy project I'm working on that you guys haven't seen on YouTube, but if you're on the forum, I've been doing a detailed build there. I needed 14 aquariums, 14 10 gallons. And I'd have to go to somewhere between 2 and 4 Petcos to get those at $1 a gallon. Well, the problem is, the good problem, but I usually will run into staff or fans that know me and want to chit-chat. And pretty soon it's been a half an hour, and to get those tanks, all of a sudden it could be like a 5-hour thing. Where if I just order from the wholesaler, I'm going to spend like, oh man, they were $25 a piece. Like that's clearly more than 15, right? But I can do that in the span of 10 minutes. Like, yep, they'll be on the way. They'll arrive at my store, keep working and moving on. And so usually that's why I end up paying full price. Is not that I don't want to hang out with people. It's that I got to be very strategic of like, okay, today's aquarium buying day. I'm going to do that all day. Because I don't like, when I meet people in person, I don't want to be like, well, I got to go. Don't have time for this. And so I have to dedicate a whole day to it. And if I don't have that in my schedule, that's when I pay full price. And I don't buy aquariums very often for myself. So, I usually what happens is I go, I think I got a little free time. Maybe I'll do a thing. And then I jam that free time up with building and doing all this. And so then I don't have the free time to hang out with people. So... let's see here. I'm approaching the 5-year mark, and I've never had a tank leak, and I feel like it's my time is coming. I've had some tanks leak, but I want to say, let's say in the last 15 years, I've always had in my possession or care probably 200 aquariums at a time. I want to say on average a leak happens once every 3 years, maybe, on average. And that's with having 200 aquariums. So if you're like, I got 10 aquariums, like, yeah, you're probably going to see a leak like once every 20 years. So it's not nearly as common. And I also don't do crazy internet stuff. I never leak test anything, ever. Like, just never. Even though everyone's like, oh, you better leak test it. I also haven't had lots of bad aquariums from the $1 a gallon. So I know some people have. I'm just saying I haven't. So maybe I'm just ultra lucky. Maybe that's my thing. My 10 gallon was $10 off of Facebook Marketplace, and after substrate, plants, filter, heater, shrimp, snails, and here I was over $200. It all adds up. Yes, it does. But now you have all those supplies, and those supplies, like substrate won't go bad. Plants, as long as you don't kill them, last you forever. Filters last 10, 20 years usually. Heaters, yeah, you might only get 3 or 4 years out of that one. But shrimp, you'll probably make more. Snails, you'll probably make more, right? And so at least they're durable goods. And maybe that's some of the magic part of aquarium keeping. And that is, a lot of it is durable goods that you can keep using. Is there a chance a co-op heater will make a return? There's always a chance, but not at the moment. We're kind of, what's the better? I want to slay some other dragons, I guess. That's kind of what I want to do. Is like, there's some other items we want to work on, and the problem is the list is like this long. And then you hit a light or a heater, and it's like, oh, it takes so long to do it. But then the same time it takes me to make a new heater, I could bring out 15 other products, right? Some of it is just takes time. Magic Nano feed, 2 to 3 years, right? Same with the community pellets coming. Finding the right food. And hopefully, when people, like I did see on someone's video, they're like, Aquarium Co-op only cares about money. I should probably didn't say it because people do it more now, but I find it irritating because I go out of my way to try very hard not to just sell money grabs. I could have literally launched any food out there, put our name on it, and people will buy it. Instead, I'm trying to really bring stuff to the market that I don't already see in the market, will hold up to the test of time. And so instead of selling our own Aquarium Co-op fish food for years, we didn't. You saw me test food after food after food after food and not do that. We kept selling Extreme and other people's foods. And now we finally launched ours. And I think it's the people that don't really watch live streams or know me. They basically go, yep, just cashing in. That guy probably just dialed it up like he just, he's just rebranding something. And, that always hurts because it's like, well, I actually worked pretty darn hard on this. But, the proof will be in the pudding. And I'll just keep doing what I do. And I'll keep pushing forward. So, but yeah, we're also we're in talks with another lighting company about maybe a partnership. So there's that. Very, very early stages. There's been some shakeups in the lighting scene that I don't think are even made public yet. So I'm not going to talk about them. But been talking to some people. Some things got shaken up, and now we're talking to some people, and we're seeing if we want to shake it up a little more. My 10-gallon shrimp tank has paid for my fish hobby for 4 years. Yeah, you can definitely, part of that is you can take a hobby as fast or as slow as you want, but if you take it slow and you have some skills or develop some skills, this hobby can totally pay for itself. There's people that are keeping kind of journals on the forum about that, of how like, hey, I'm building this fish room completely being paid for by the tanks and the fish that I'm breeding. So it doesn't, and I love that. I did that. I basically built my fish room and my store and all of that off the back of breeding. Now, yes, I did get a cash investor, my business partner, to really build the store, but I was buying and accumulating and learning skills by doing that, and it was part of my income was selling fish and selling on Aquabid and learning the trade and all of that. So, but that's a 5-year process to get to that point to even start thinking about opening the store. So it can be a very long thing, and in a world where our attention span's like a month and then we get bored of something, a lot of people, you can't do that. Like, in general, any type of thing where you want to turn a profit takes a couple years to learn the skills, get good enough, and do all of that. So let's see here. Do you think that these tanks are really leaking, or are people just taking advantage of the warranty? I do think people get leaky tanks. I don't think there's much to gain, right? So what I mean by that is, let's say this was an Aquarium aquarium, which is not, but if it was, this is a custom aquarium, by the way. Real thick glass, black silicone, build quality, I love it. Don't like the bottom silicone. It'll never fail, but it doesn't look good, and I just think it should. Anyway. Like, let's say this is a 150-gallon Aquarium tank all set up, and we're in year 5, and it still just looks amazing. I think it's way too much work to be like, I'm going to fake like it leaks and get them to send me another one. Like, maybe 1 out of 10,000 people's like, well, I'm moving. I got to tear it down anyway, so maybe I can get a warranty claim. Like, yeah, maybe, right? Just like that can happen with us all the time. People can take advantage of us all the time. We mark it down, eventually we fire you as a customer, but it doesn't make sense to penalize the people that are having real problems for the 1 out of 1,000 that's taking advantage, right? And so you kind of spread out all that risk. So I think in general, there's an amazing amount of aquariums that are sold every year. I forget what the stat is. Let me see if I can Google that. How many aquariums are sold in the USA each year? Let's see here. That just says how many are there. I'm trying to find. brackish aquariums. Aquariums are getting more popular around the world, so that's good. But no, it's I want to say though it's in the 50s plus thousands though. Like a lot of aquariums, like a crazy amount of aquariums get sold every year. In the United States even. Like, wow, that is more than you would think. And so just when you you know, just when you make that many of anything, there's gonna be leaks or defects, right? Especially in a like making aquariums is a very hands-on process. It's not a machine-driven process for the most part. Yes, they use CNC like water jets to cut the glass and stuff like that, but the actual putting it together is jigs and people. So definitely room for error there. Let's see here. Any input on dwarf hairgrass? I'm about to order several pots from the co-op and was on the fence about going with tissue culture or regular potted ones. The regular potted ones, in my opinion, get taller. The tissue culture is true dwarf hairgrass. And so if you're looking for that really tiny look, that's going to be the one. In fact, if I remember right, Echinodorus bacilli, I believe, is what it is. Oliver Lucanus is responsible for getting that to the farm. Or not Oliver Lucanus, sorry. Oliver Knott is responsible for getting that to the farms originally. He saw it, and he's like, we got to get this into Tropica and into Dennerley and that kind of stuff. And so you can... There's other people that actually discovered it as well, but he kind of really helped bring it to the forefront. So if you're looking for that super short, I would go with tissue culture. If you're really going for... Otherwise, the other one grows longer. You got to cut it. I think it might be a little bit easier to grow, but... Hey, I want to try a setting. Does this work? No, it doesn't work. Okay. Wait. Oh, it's working. I want to let this go. So we're at 42-minute mark, so I can look back on this and go, hey, do I like having chat on the screen? What do you guys think? Like, obviously, my hand's going to be in the way of it right now, but I'm thinking about whether chat on the screen would be good for people watching on a TV or potentially even on their phone. If you turn it into landscape, that might be good. So you guys can let me know what you think about that. But I want to get a little bit of, a few minutes of that there so I can go back and look and see where would a good placement be and stuff like that and see if people would enjoy that. I'm always telling my wife it's not the size of the tank, but the quality of the swimmers. That's right. I do believe that, so my mentor, when I opened the store, he was anti-internet guy, technology really, and from his running of fish farms and stores, his motto was, it doesn't matter how big the aquarium is. And, well, it actually does matter how big the aquarium is, but bigger is not better. Bigger is worse. And he said, in a store, you would rather have 10 1-gallon tanks than one 10-gallon tank. Like, if resources were limited, space is limited, because you could put, like, a pair of guppies, a wild-caught betta male, wild-caught betta female, a crayfish. You can get 10 different things going in 10 gallons, where in a 10-gallon, 3 maybe? And so his big thing was not the amount of gallons of water. You can change water. He's like, every day you could change as much water as you want. But once you set up the aquariums, you can't really change the aquariums. And so he, is like, it's all about selling vessels in a store or in your own fish room about a place to put your fish. And I was for sure running into that, where I've got right now a 40-gallon breeder with one pair of apistos. I've got a 40-gallon breeder with one trio of guppies. And they will be just as happy in my 10 gallons that I've set up. And then these 40 gallons I can have back for doing some bigger stuff. And so, I forgot where we started with that, but yeah, size does matter. So, Candy's reading in 2 places. I could see that. Definitely if you're on desktop and all of that. But this way I can put it up on my TV and go, is that big enough? Does it move too fast? Do we even like it? I don't know. I was trying to look at other people that do it, and I couldn't come to a consensus. So You could probably gauge how many aquariums are sold by how many pop up on OfferUp and Facebook Marketplace every day. It's the whole reason why aquariums do not have any resale value, including rimless. I don't think that'd be a good way to judge how many are getting sold, like new, right? Because you could technically sell the same aquarium maybe 4 times in a year or whatever. And so, how many new aquariums are entering the hobby? We wouldn't know how many are leaving, how many break, how many just get thrown out or whatever. There's a lot of aquariums in a lot of people's backyards doing a whole lot of nothing around the world. So, from my perspective, how has fish type and availability changed commercially since I first opened Aquarium Co-op? I think it has gotten worse. I thought it was getting better and better and better until COVID, and then post-COVID it has just gotten worse. But, and this is just my feelings on it, I don't think I am working with as good of I'm working with the same people. That's all I'm trying to say. I think where I'm struggling is new people entering the game to be like wholesalers for stores. There's not very many. And the ones that we've been using for 10, 15, 20 years are aging out. And so you're not getting the younger, hungrier business owner to bring in the stuff, to do the breeding, to do this. And so that's actually one of the reasons why I'm setting up tanks again, is to breed fish, because we can't buy them. I like a lot of the guppies are like, why can't we just buy these? Like, oh, we just can't? Like, that's weird. I guess I will breed some. The shipping landscape has changed so much that, so in my opinion, and I was talking to Dean about this, I go, Dean, you want to get rich breeding fish? Breed guppies. In my time selling fish, it's never been, right now, a like mutt fancy guppy is the same price or more expensive than cardinal tetras, rummy nose tetras, and these things that are basically way harder to breed. And so what seems crazy to me is if I hand a trio of guppies to my grandma and she has an aquarium over there and she remembers to feed them every other day, they will make more. My grandma would never, on any timeline, be ever able to make any cardinal tetras ever. And so it's super bizarre that they would then be going for basically the same price. And so I believe right now, could change tomorrow. Right now, we're in a sweet spot where live bearers are really kind of at a premium. And so for a lot of breeders, that means you can make a lot of good money. And then also, I was talking to Dean, I said, we're missing a lot of fish that I consider to be staples in the hobby. And I go, I haven't seen a good, normal red swordtail in over 5 years. And Dean said the same thing. He goes, you're right, I haven't either. Because it used to be green planted tanks, red swordtails were peanut butter and jelly. They looked, chef's kiss, amazing. And they're not available on the lists. The breeders, they're working on doing like real high-end high fins and bushy fins and all of that, and not just a commercially viable pet store red swordtail that every hobbyist can enjoy at the $5 to $8 level. Instead, they're like, well, these are a pair for $180. And so I actually have some coming in. I actually have some fish coming in, and I will definitely breed. Well, I'm going to try to breed them. Guppies were going for $9.99 in my local fish store. If those are just mutts, like, whew. But I could believe it. We are a big fish buyer, and we have an international port and all that close to us, and guppies have just gotten expensive, and it's peculiar why. I'm not 100% sure. I want to say our guppies are $4.99, just mutt guppies. I call it, and mutts doesn't mean they're bad. That just means the genetics are all jumbled up, and there's amazing fish in there, but it's not a specific line, for instance. But yeah, if you want to know where I've got some fish coming in, and I don't know how good they will be. I think they'll be good. But I ordered from the tip from the last live stream. Someone said, "Hey, Charles Clapsaddle at Goliad Farms restocked his live bears." And then on Thursday, I finally had some free time. I looked it up, and boy howdy, I bought some. And so shipping's $50, so that stings. Ouch, not gonna do it. And there'll be people in here that will just be like, "I would never pay $50 shipping ever. How dare you?" And then, if you actually look at the totality, though, fish are $3. They're basically free. I literally thought about buying all of his live bears just to sell at my store, and I said, no, I'll share them with everybody instead and go, hey, you should check it out if you're into some of the Variatus and some of the other stuff he's doing. At $3 a fish, and you can pick how many males and females, in my opinion, they're giving them away. And so I don't know the quality that'll show up. They could be tiny. They could be washed out. They could also be absolutely amazing because he's won so many awards with live bears, and that's what I'm hoping. But in general, I like supporting Charles, and he even said, like, oh, you're buying them from me? He's like, you should have just come down here. I would have given you some. And I said, well, we do plan to come back there. It was actually supposed to be this November and do some more filming and hanging out with him, but we just didn't make it there this year. So, yeah, Goliad Farms. I at least like visiting the place, and I've ordered fish from before, and I've been happy. So, are Florida farms not producing live bears like they used to? I'm not sure. I haven't talked with a bunch of the farms lately. A lot of farms are getting sold and are up for sale because it's just getting harder and harder. And, I think part of what gets lost in just media or just, I don't know, until you think about it, there are so many tornadoes, natural disasters, all that kind of stuff, that like even Charles Clapsaddle and if you befriend some of these people, you'll see that they're unfortunately too often battling back from damage to the farms. Even if you check out like Garden of Eder, right, and Lucas Brett's. So if you have, let's say, for every one YouTuber, you might have 10 to 20 to 50 farms that aren't YouTubers. What's another one that's closing up? Bioaquatics, closing up forever down in Florida. So we visited him. There's videos of that, on the channel. And so if for every one that we know about on YouTube is having, weather did the thing, there's probably 50 more farms. And what that does is it extrapolates to, like, maybe they are having, like, Charles has been stuck in this, like, well, it's kind of the breed back year. We got to breed up the colonies. We got to do this before we can get them back to selling. So maybe we're just seeing that. And when supply is short and demand is high, prices go up. Window liquor number 5. How about glass lids? Or maybe the plastic parts for lids, hinges. Can't find, or brutal prices, or maybe good plexiglass lids. It's all shipping. Glass is super cheap, and plastic's super cheap. Shipping is not cheap. So when you're like, I need to top this long, you're like, sweet, that is too long. There's a $15 surcharge on that, plus the shipping. You're like, wait, to ship this thing is gonna be $33? Like, yep. That's not very smart. And then you're like, and I still need to make some money, or at least pay for the product. So we saw this coming when all the carriers started saying, hey, anything over 24 inches now has surcharges. So like the first surcharge, if you go for anything over 24 inches, gets a $5 charge, right? So I don't know. A light that is 30 inches costs $5 more in a penalty than the 24-inch light. And so, but the 30-inch light already cost more. So maybe a 24-inch light costs, let's say it's $20 a ship. Well, a 30-inch light, right, so it's 6 inches more, costs $25. But then you have a $5 penalty, so it actually costs $30. And if you go over 30 inches, so you go to 31 inches, so a 3-foot light, well, the penalty for that one is $15. So anything over 30 inches is $15. So now you go to ship a 36-inch light, and you're like, well, the shipping's $30 plus a $15 penalty, so the shipping's $45. Like, oh. Now, that light, you're going, okay, but we sold it for $150. But then when you get to, like, I'm trying to think of stuff, like just a glass strip or a plastic back strip, you're like, well, we sold it for $20, and we have to charge $45 in shipping, people won't pay it. And that's what we're running into. So backstrip, hinges, tops, all of that need to go to local stores. And when we saw that, we said, hey, we need to develop the wholesale thing. We've been thinking about it. We want to help stores. This will be a thing of the future where big, bulky products, it makes much more sense to go to your local pet store than it does to ship online, because the shipping is never going to get cheaper in America. In other countries like Europe, shipping's still super duper cheap. I bought some guppies on Aquabid this weekend, and another example of this would be if I ship the fish priority, there's no guarantee. That's a big bummer. They only guarantee if you ship them express. And so I said, well, how much is it for express? And they live on the East Coast and I live on the West Coast. And they say, well, that's a lot of money. It's $70 to ship express from that person to me. And I said, well, do you have heat packs? And they go, yes. And I go, okay, well, let's ship, not this week because it's the holiday coming up. Let's ship the following week with a heat pack priority. Guppies usually do well for me with a heat pack and they're individually bagged. We'll take that risk because the guppies themselves were $30. It doesn't make sense to pay $70 shipping for 3 guppies when they were only $30, right? Whereas priority shipping, $20 with a heat pack and some insulation. Now you're spending $30 on fish, $20 on the shipping. I'm into it for $50. Sounds reasonable enough, right? And so that's just going to keep being more and more of an issue for everybody involved because it just doesn't get cheaper to move things around, unfortunately. Now I know I've seen a video on how to pull out your sponge filter, and I think I've heard enough on, I feel like there's some missing there. I'm going to look for, oh wait, here we go, on how to clean it, but I have not seen anything on how you would clean a sponge filter if you had baby shrimp stuck in the mulm in the filter. I wouldn't clean it. So I just wouldn't clean it. That's what it comes down to. If I really, for some reason, I'm trying to think like how would it be that clogged, which it probably isn't. But if it was that clogged and I had to clean it, I would probably do something where I slowly moved it out of the water. And so what I mean by that is like a breeder trick of getting fish out of shells is to put some glasses in there and a plate and then put the shells on the plate. I would probably do the same trick with the sponge filter, and maybe this much is out of water. Any shrimp would be like, oh, I better crawl down. And then you raise it up another inch or two, and then all the shrimp would be like, I got to crawl down. And eventually, it's all out of the water, and I can wash it that way. You're going to lose a lot of bacteria that way. But what I see from a lot of people are cleaning sponge filters pretty frequently, and in some of my tanks, they can go years without being cleaned. And then other ones where I've got like sand sifters and goldfish, they might have to get cleaned every month. But for the most part, when I've got shrimp and community fish, they can go a long time. Now, servicing like the air collar and maybe the bullseye, if you got gunk in there or something, that can go a long way. But a lot of times when people are having their sponge filters clog up a lot, I go, well, what are you doing? Like, what foods are you feeding? Like, it's the result of, it's kind of like if they're saying, oh, my garbage is always stinky in my kitchen. Like, well, what are you throwing away? Like, oh, well, there's parts of chicken in there, and this is rotting, and that's like, let's take that straight out or compost that, and only put stuff in the garbage that won't be horribly stinky after a day, and mission solved. Kind of same thing in your filter, like, change up some of the things so you're not clogging it so fast all the time. Maybe you've got not enough filtration, maybe you've got someone digging all the time, maybe you're feeding food that's real messy, maybe it's not even getting eaten really, maybe you've got a bunch of algae and they put algae eaters in there and they're turning that into poop. There's contributing factors for sure, but in general, if I really had to, I would do a lot of swishing in a bucket. You could do that, let all the shrimps fall off, and then you could net them out after the muck settles. It takes about an hour or two for the muck to settle, and you can get some nets to get that out of there. I dream of a sponge filter with like an inflatable wrap that will encapsulate the sponge when it's inflated, and you can just pull it out with no muss and no fuss. Yeah, that'd be good. I've tried to get as close as I can with taking off the air collar. Like, I keep having to correct people like, don't take the bullseye off, just take the air collar off, so that because the when you take the bullseye part off, it like shakes the sponge filter. The air collar you can get off where nothing kind of comes off. Then you get the bag around that, comes out pretty clean. Overnight fish shipping in Germany is 20 to 35 euros, depending on which fish dealer you buy from. When shipping fish as a private customer, you'll pay about double. Good to know. The problem is, like, shipping tends to be fairly cheap. Like, whenever I'm with Chris Lukup, and he's like, well, I'll ship it. Like, it'll be like $4. I'm like, really? Because the cheapest I can ship is like 14. Let me look up Garnelio. They ship live goods. Let me see. Do they have... Yeah, so like if you go to garnelio.com, they sell shrimp and some other stuff, and they have free worldwide shipping. Like, I don't think they're going to ship you the shrimp worldwide, but I know, like, I met with the owner there, and Chris works for them. I know that I'm like, wow, your guys' shipping is super affordable. Like, that's crazy. I wish I could have that affordable shipping in the US. And what I mean by that is, like, I spend millions of dollars in shipping every year, and it only goes up every year. And it's just real hard when, like, there's a 5% increase, and you're like, why? Oh, it's October, that's why. You're like, but if I spend $2 million a year, right? Let's see, yeah, someone basically sends you an email, and we just lost $100,000 in profit. So we now have to work that much harder to make up that $100,000 because it's like, oh yeah, just a price increase. Like, oh, pretty hard to do. So, and that's just a game of all shipping companies, because you're spending so much in shipping because everyone needs free shipping and all that. And every time we've tried to put in things that help, people don't like it. Where it's like, hey, you got to spend at least $20. How dare you, sir? Like, okay, I guess we'll keep shipping at a loss. Yeah, but it's rough when one email comes across and you lose $100,000 every year from there on out. It's like, oh. So then you try to work out a deal with the competitor, and you keep going back and forth, and then you get like, okay, we're only gonna pay 3% more. Like, that's still another $60,000 a year. That's someone's wage, basically. Like, that's another person that we just lost out of nowhere. Ever looked into PCMs for long shipping? We use them for blood. I don't know that acronym, but is that the heat pack that like maintains, or heat and cool pack that means perfect temperature? They're like $10 each. PCM long shipping. I mean, what is that called? Yeah, shipping with phase change materials. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, I looked into it when I wanted to do fish and stuff like that, but I thought it just didn't. It reinforced shipping just really not being manageable. Of like, it's a great product, but the costs that it adds. And back when I was really looking at it, like when Aquabid was booming, nobody was like $25. You were the expensive person on Aquabid for shipping. At 15 to 20, you were like the normal. And so going to like this, it's a special material. It basically goes, what's the temperature, and it will adjust continually to the temperature to keep your fish at the perfect temp, which is great. But each one of those was like $10. And so that all of a sudden brings you from like, oh, you're a 20 to a 30. Nobody was willing to pay that. And I still think today most people are not willing to pay, aren't willing to pay that high of a shipping price. And we've tested it, and there's lots of studies. If like Nano Feed right here, which by the way I have it actually in the flesh now in its own package. Nano Feed, if I made this $6 and charged $6 shipping, virtually nobody would buy it. If I make it $12 with free shipping, everybody buys it. And there's so many studies, because just in America, our ethos is you don't pay for shipping. I won't pay for shipping. There's been so much marketing on free shipping, and too many times, if you just wait long enough, you will get a coupon for it or something like that. And so that's going to take years to undo. And so we literally had it where it was cheaper on our website to pay shipping and the items were cheaper and our sales plummeted. When we moved the price so that shipping was just cheaper for people, sales rose, even though it was more expensive for you guys. And so it was a bummer because we don't like raising shipping prices, and we just thought, hey, how about you just pay the actual shipping prices? Didn't work out. So it's a bummer, but it also just makes it easier. So now you just pay the price. Jody P gifting 10 Aquarium Co-op memberships. That's a round of applause. Thank you very much. If you just got to become a member, you can sync on the website, save 5% on everything. By the way, secret squirrel stuff. We do have the scratch and dent section back on the website. It's not huge and fully fleshed out, and stuff does go fast. But basically, if someone buys a light and returns the sender or tries it on their tank and sends it back, we put it back on the website, 10% off. Has all the same warranties. We guarantee that all the stuff works good as new, but it might have extra tape on it or stickers or whatever because it got shipped twice. Or sometimes we just have like a dinged up package. So like, do I have more of these? I don't have more of those. But if we were to take this out of the box and this corner was bent down, that might go to a scratch and dent type of situation. You'd save 10%, even though literally nothing has touched the product at all. We just don't want to send that out to a store because they got to hang it on a shelf, and we don't want to send it to you and you think, oh, I got the last one, it's been hanging around, anything like that. How does one access this, you ask? Well, you go to the website, aquariumcoop.com, and then you hover or click club. I guess it might be different on mobile. I'm a desktop user, so let me guide you. Knowing that 80% of you will go there from your mobile phone, you click on the navigation, and then you click club members, and then at the bottom it says member only scratch and dent product sales. Focus on me or focus on it. See at the bottom there? You click that link, and if you're logged in and you're synced up, it will then allow you in. If you're not logged in and synced up, it will not. But right now we're sold out of all those things, and there's no specific day or anything. We just, when there's extra time, we go through and we list stuff. So you can see there's been sponge filters and lights and some plants, and so for instance, cryptocorns where they've sat a little bit too long and they're converted. A customer goes, hey, this thing's only this tall. It's fully underwater grown, but they might complain. And so we sell that over there for a bit cheaper, knowing you guys will be a little more in the know on average. So let's see here. Clicking the button. My 5-year-old son Andy wants to know, how many tanks do I have in my house currently? None. I have 0 aquariums in my actual home. I have gotten as close to having a tank sitting there ready for water, and I just keep going. I have a whole building out here filled with aquariums. I don't want to be like, all right, and I'm done for the day, and go inside and go, let me start water changing and feeding and doing this in here. And if my wife wants one, great, as long as she'll do that. I just don't want to bleed the lines between, I already am a workaholic. I don't want to have to do all that in there because I've got everything out here to make it as easy as possible. In my dining room or my bedroom or somewhere, it will not be as easy as possible. And so there's none physically in my house, which is a bummer because I do enjoy it. But I know what happens over time of I end up going, ugh. And then I end up wanting to film it. Now I'm putting the inside of my house on YouTube, which isn't the worst, but it's just always more and more and more. And then people are going, hey, can you show me this part of your house? And hey, can you do this? And then people want to, when they come over and they want to see my tanks, now they want to be in my house and my dogs are losing it. So I just go, you know what? A dedicated building is plenty good for me. Are we having any cyber weekend sales? No, we are not. At least at this point. I don't like what happens, in my opinion, is if we put a bunch of stuff on sale, to me, that means I could have already sold it cheaper, right? And so I remain committed to trying to keep the price as low and as fair as possible for you guys, that we still stay in business. And so if I could take, when I see these companies doing, there's competitors that are like every weekend another product is like 25% off. And I've been there 5, 6, 7 years, 6 years ago. And I realized that like this is just me keeping prices inflated so that I can offer the next 25% off. I will just offer it at the right price to begin with. And so you don't have to wait like, I'd buy that right now, Corey. Because people ask us like, well, I want to buy this, but are you going to have a sale? No, we're not. When are you going to have a sale? We won't. We don't. The last time we had a sale was overstock on one product, brine shrimp. Before that, years. So, and it's just to remain fair. I don't want to play games with you guys. I want to make sure we keep our employees. I want to make sure you guys are always getting the best price. And I don't want it to be a hunt and peck to find where's the coupon and this thing and that thing and that thing. Instead, you just buy it when you need it. Easy peasy. Every week is Cyber Week at Aquarium Co-op. There you go. That's basically it. I was thinking about doing potentially like a big long live stream or something, maybe on Black Friday or Small Business Saturday, and maybe doing some giveaways and stuff, but not based on purchases or anything like that. Like I really want to reinforce, if you need it, buy it. I don't like that feels bad moment of like, had I waited, and I'll name one directly. Last year, bulk resupply, at the beginning of November, I ordered a $400 power head thing, basically. You guys saw that video. And then on Black Friday, on Thanksgiving, it was like $100 off. And I was like, well, that's a bummer. And so I emailed and I'm like, hey, it's been within 30 days. Like, I don't want to return this, but can I have my $100? They're like, no, we don't honor any of our sales price. And I was like, what? Okay. And then the next day, it was $60 off. So like, okay, well, yeah, it sounds good. And then the next day, like Cyber Monday was $140 off. And I was like, this is nuts. Every day is a different price. Like, how should I know when I buy it? And all it did was go, you know what? I just won't buy from them anymore. I won't have this pain if I don't buy from them. And so I haven't been buying stuff from them like that. And so I just think that's a bad policy of like, don't punish your buyers. Like, I want to encourage you guys. You want it right now? Buy it today. It won't be a better price tomorrow. Not on Black Friday. Not on Cyber Monday. Today it'll be the price, and tomorrow it'll be the price. The same price. Just buy it when you need it. Don't worry. You're not missing out. And there is one way in which you could miss out. If I find a way to make products cheaper, I will make them cheaper. Rarely does that happen, but sometimes it does. And we do lower prices sometimes. But just know that there's not some big sale waiting around the corner for you to capitalize on. We don't do that. Now, you could, if you go, I'm going to spend a lot of money, become a member. It's $5. And then sync up your account. You'll save 5% on the website. That's the most I can afford to give away, and go, yep, here's a thank you. You guys give us $5. We'll give you 5% off. You'll help support a bigger thing. Hopefully you'll stick around for a while. That'd be great. And we'll keep trying to do the best we can. Am I going to make aquarium aqua fish tanks and substrates? Are you going to make aquarium aqua fish tanks and substrates I think you meant to say, are you going to make them in your online store and retail pet store? We do already make our own aquariums. If they weren't all the way over there, I'd go grab one. And we do sell them in our store, and they do well. We don't have our own branded substrate. We do have it made for us, but we don't have it branded. And we are not entering into that yet. However, moving the shipping center to Kentucky was a major step in having something like that happen. Doesn't mean it is. I'm just saying that was a had to do. So it's kind of one of those like, if you're going to build a house, right? First thing, save up the down payment to buy a plot of land. Second thing, get the permits to build it, right? We're like in that zone of like, okay, we saved up to buy the plot of land. We're now in Kentucky. Now we have to like figure out the rest still. There's still a lot to go, but we didn't have to like raise prices or do anything like that with shipping or anything like that for you guys because we moved to Kentucky. We spent an absurd amount of money to move our business to Kentucky to help future-proof Aquarium Co-op for everybody. Which it's, to a lot of us that have been here, it's been the hardest year of our lives for a long time now. But, we're on the other side of that. It's looking much better. And so, yeah, when you guys saw the labor of that, right? So you saw, once we got to Kentucky, our free shipping came down to $49.99 because we were able to get closer to more of our people. We were able to lower the price of the free shipping threshold. That doesn't mean it won't have to go up someday in the future. Every day I basically wake up to something costing more money. That's always a bummer. But we will do what we can. We will do all logical steps to protect your guys' buying power as much as we can because we know it's good for us and it's good for you. What will ship from Kentucky? Are you keeping a warehouse? Are you keeping the Washington warehouse workers? We're already in Kentucky. And no, we're not keeping the warehouse in Washington. And we offered a relocation package to everybody that went over there. I don't know if I've said in the past, but it's a lot of money. And I think only 3 or 4 people took us up on it. But their money's going a lot further in Kentucky now. And not everybody can move, obviously, because family and obligations and all that. But yeah, I won't get into all the details, but in my opinion, we gave them, I think, a 9 months heads up and told them to start looking, like line up a job right afterwards. We paid severance to everybody that still worked there, and we offered relocation packages. I basically did more than what most business would do, and we're a small business, and it cost us a lot to do it, but I tried to do as best as I could. As a 41-year-old businessman, I did the best that a guy with a bunch of aquariums could do, in my opinion, which that kind of sounds like I'm underselling it, like I'm trying to hide something, but I'm not. I'm just saying I literally tried as hard as I could to do the best I could. So, and I think it was pretty good for people, because there's lots of companies where you just show up and you're like, oh, just eliminated, okay, just gone, like, yep, warehouse gone. Like Funko did that, where it's like, oh, it's gone, yep, gone. So, do we own the warehouse in Kentucky? We do not. Nope, don't got them kind of money. I want you to know that I really appreciate how you sell bettas, no fish in a cup, for the co-op. It gets even better once the expansion opens. They will just get auto water changed all day long. Well, not all day long, but several times a day. So the system, if you like our system now, it's even better on the other side because we had more time to make it even better. So it's all hooked up to auto water change and drains and everything. Even better. Honestly, that's just a company motto of like, all right, you're working on a thing, you've been doing that for a long time, how are you making it better? You don't know? Let's find a way to make it even better. Like whether it's customer service, whether it's retail store, whether it's bettas, whether it's a product. Like our air pumps, they last longer than they used to. They don't cost you any more money, but we made them better. And in general, we are committed to making things better where we can and where it won't. Like it doesn't make any sense to like, our battery-powered air pump now lasts 7 years. It's also $4.2 million. Like, obviously, it's got to line up with what your guys' expectations are and can afford. So, betta's getting better. That's right. Can we expect a fish store opening in Kentucky? Nope. Randy, the VP of the company, would tell you yes. He's like, yes. He bugs me every day. Like, when we open one, I go, I'm not interested right now. Doesn't mean never, just means right now. I ordered my first round of magical nano food. I can't wait to try it. It's good. Some places you find you're out of a job by showing up to a locked door. Yep. Yeah, we literally gave, I think, we thought it was going to be a year, but it ended up being 9 months heads up, and we're like, look. And then we also, basically what happened, we ended up paying people for 2 months, even though we didn't need them, because that was I think 30 days, I can't remember what the legal thing was, like the way we were doing it, but we ended up basically paying people for a couple months when we didn't really need to, because we had said, I know what it was. We had basically said, hey, here's a severance deal. You guys stay to the end so that we don't have disruption to our customers, and we'll pay you this money, and we'll give you a heads up. And so you can line up your next job, hopefully, like, you can take a week of vacation if you want, or the next day. Like, we want as long of a runway as we can for everybody. And so, yeah, we did that. And so there were people that literally started work the following Monday with their new job. And there's people that left early too. They're like, hey, I'm gonna leave early to my next job. And we're like, that's fine too. So yeah, we did the best we could. Will we be offering a bulk bag of the magic feed just like the dry or the fry food? I don't know exactly how yet, but that did come up in a meeting, and I said, to me it makes sense. I love feeding it. I like it in the store. We need some bulk or bigger container of this food where this size is going to last the average hobbyist really, really well, right? But if you're a store or a fish breeder or something like that, you might need like, hey, I need a thing this big. Or we also, I don't want to, I want to try not to do an extreme, and that is like where the next size up of Nano's $48. It's like, okay, well, what's a good size that we can also keep affordable? And then what packaging makes sense. So we're going to work on that soon. And that was one of my initiatives that's been on the long list is I want a bigger size of a lot of things. So I want all the freeze dries to have a next size up. I want the foods, basically all foods to have next size up. We're still working on a much bigger, like 2 to 4 liter of Easy Green, and that is proving to be much more long form than I thought it was going to be. The container I want to ship it in apparently doesn't exist in America. And so then we got quotes for the molds, and we're still working through it. But yeah, the goal is if the product's doing well, let's get it in a bigger size that makes sense. And yeah, so we just from if people are listening, we basically had Project Mini-Me first. Project Mini-Me was, let's make sure we're servicing all the people that have nano tanks. So that's where you're going to see like, oh, there's your, like we do have a 2 ounce of easy dechlorinator coming, right? So we've got some of that kind of stuff happening. And that's where we had like the 200 counts of test strips, and then they went like, oh, we now serve a smaller batch for people too. So we mini-me'd a lot of stuff. And now, because before I'm always a fish room guy. So, but before I was like, but I want fish room quantities. So we decided there's more people with nano tanks than there are people with full-blown fish stores and fish rooms. So then, now it can be project kind of fish room of like, all right, let's get some bigger quantities of some stuff. And yeah, they're big scary numbers of like, oh gosh. But then it's like, yeah, but you get a lot. And so to the people that need a lot, they're used to spending more money because it'll be better per ounce or better per unit. That kind of stuff. So, but we want to make sure that doesn't blow out logistics and that kind of stuff of like, oh, it's a 5-gallon canteen of Easy Green. It's $270 to ship it. Like, oof, that wasn't a good idea. I missed the dry aquarium lily bulbs. Any chance we'll bring them back? Nope, 0 chance. The problem is, if they didn't sprout, we would lose a ton of money. And then there were people that just wouldn't know what to do and would like kill them or leave them in a bag for 2 years. And basically no going back on that one. It is clearly just better, less defect rate and all of that for customer service by selling one that's already a bit grown. So even because what would happen is this. We'd send like the whole arc of these has been years and years and years. But it used to be we sold you 3 for the same price because dry bulbs are pretty cheap. And then 1 wouldn't hatch, basically. And people would lose their minds and demand refunds and reships. Even though we were like, yeah, but the thing is, like, we'll sell you 3 for the price of 1, and you'll probably get 2 or 3 to hatch. If 1 wouldn't hatch, people would lose it. So then we'd have to reship it, and then we'd lose like $20 every time that happened. And so then we went to like just shipping 1, and then we'd have the same problem kind of. Then now we just ship 1 that's already basically hatched. And I can't even know better than me, but you know, that plant reship rate is probably down to like 0.25%. We've gotten by moving to Kentucky, and really we focused like a year on plants. Where I've even flown over there, calibrated systems. We're still doing that, PAR, all that kind of stuff. We have got our plants so incredibly dialed in. It's kind of amazing. Where I want to say the worst performing plant is like 1.8% defect rate for us to the customer, which that means we ship 100 on average. Less than 2 would ever have a problem, and that includes like someone Ace Venturing the package where it's like, yeah, I dropped a wood chipper on it on the way over there. That includes that. So, Corey, have you seen Dean lately? I mean, how lately is lately? I spent 13 hours with him on Saturday. So I'm going to say yeah, or no, on Thursday. Sorry, not Saturday. On Thursday. I'm going to say yes. And yes, we had Mexican food. So it was a good time. Let's see here. Window Liquor says, I tried to do that with Extreme, buy the bigger ones, but man, it hurts the pocket. Yeah, the other thing that I really want to make sure that when we sell these bigger quantities, there's a group of customers that are always going to buy the 55-gallon barrel of mayonnaise at Costco, and then it always goes bad before they've used half of it. And fish foods are the same way. I've watched so many people where they'll buy, like, it used to be, what was the brand? HBH. They sold 25-pound boxes of flake food, and people could get them for like, I don't know, $80 or something. And I would meet people all the time. They're like, yeah, I've had this thing for 5 years, and they're still feeding it. I'm like, but it's incredibly stale and rancid at this point. That is not good. And they're like, yeah, but it's a lifetime supply of food. And I'm like, yeah, kind of. So I want it so that there's enough education of like, look, this already, if you have 1 10-gallon, it's going to last till the end of time. That's not great. In a fish room my size, maybe this lasts you like a month or two. That's good. You don't need to buy the 55-gallon barrel of mayonnaise in that instance. But you've got 300 breeder tanks, and you've got a store, and you've got this and that. It makes sense, right? So that's the key. That's the key, is making sure the right person gets the right product, and we don't have to have, ooh, that feels bad. It went bad on you. Like, well, maybe don't buy that much. I've never shipped the lilies with leaves. I'm guessing the leaves don't ship well in transit. Yeah, the leaves don't ship well, but we call that out going, hey, they're real delicate and they break pretty easily, but we know that it has hatched, and so it pushes forward in the person's aquarium real easy that way. And if they do arrive with leaves, even better. Really excited to try the Magic Nano food? Get it while you can. Selling like wildfire, which is super reassuring. I know I have like more bags under my eyes somehow this week, but it's been a scary time waiting for that stuff to come in and go. Because I feel like I've been building up searching for food for so many years that if it's not good, the people that would say like, Corey's just doing stuff to make money would be like real justified of like, yeah, Corey's just selling out there peddling garbage. And so but I'm glad that after years of search, it's working out. So yeah, 5-year-old food. You laugh, but anyone that tours these people with big fish rooms, you will see it, and you're just like, but, and they literally, they'll justify it like, well, that's economy of scale. I gotta buy it in that big of quantities because otherwise it costs me too much to raise this fish and then sell it. And it's like, yeah, you need to economize a lot of other things going on in this fish room because the food. I'm a proponent of a good food makes you money. The fish look better, they grow faster, you have to clean less, all those things come together, and you will literally make more money with a good food. Now, there is diminishing returns, obviously. Like, just because it's more expensive doesn't necessarily mean it's better, but also just buying the cheapest food or in the biggest quantities or letting it get real stale doesn't help your bottom line either, in my opinion. Let's see. Is there like turmeric or something in it? Super fragrant. Nope. It's the krill you smell. There, literally all the ingredients are on there, and there's not many. I didn't want to be super cryptic, so that's why it looks like it has a ton. But it's whole krill, so not like the worst parts, because it's whole krill, whole anchovies, whole shrimp meal, wheat flour, fish oil, yeast. And then originally it was just going to say vitamins and minerals, but that sounds like, what do you hide in vitamins and minerals? And so then you've got this crazy long list of vitamins and minerals. But it's really 6 ingredients, pretty simple, and not, we did the least amount of like fillers that you can do basically. And we didn't play any games where there's a lot of games that get played in the industry where you could have like wheat germ middlings, wheat germ meal. Those are 3 different ingredients. And because they're 3 different ingredients, if they were all 10%, they might all sit under 15% of, let's just call it fish meal, right? They go later in the list. But the reality is 30% of that food is wheat germ. And so that should have been the first ingredient. But depending on how you game that system, you could actually make it look like, the majority of this food is fish meal, when the reality it's not. And you can, some of it you'll see it really go down the rabbit hole of just like, you found another word to basically call this wheat germ, and it's like 40-50% wheat germ when it should have said should have been first ingredient wheat germ. That's what it should have been. So ours, I tried very hard, and there still might be updates to it. If it goes well, we might be able to really dial it in. And I dream about being able to have percentages, and I don't know what it's going to take to get that certified. If I got to get it certified, FDA is kind of a real bear to deal with, so we'll see what that looks like. But I would love to see percentages. I've seen it a couple of times on some fish foods in other countries where I would love it if it said what percentage is each ingredient. Like, boron is 0.00001. Oh, the fish meal is 32%. Oh, the krill is 28%. Like whatever it's going to be, right? I would love that. Hold on. Eric just said, I got an ad during the live stream. I've never seen that before. Did anybody else get an ad? I'm literally working with YouTube, and they're pissing me off. There should be no ads. There should be, the only time you should get an ad, when you first came to the live stream, there should be one ad. There should be no more ads. Because even right here it says, creators adopting live automated mid-rolls saw, on average, over 20% uplift in in-stream ad revenue per hour. Would you like to turn it on? No, I would not. So, yeah, a lot of people not, Tasha got an ad too? It's very strange. That should not be the case. And so, again, one of the ways that I'm trying not, that I'm not a money grubber. We are not putting any mid-roll ads. What is a mid-roll ad? So once you watch the first one when you get in, there's no more ads for the rest of the live streams or videos. We're not putting any more ads in because we tell you to buy our stuff. You support us maybe through memberships or buying from us or sharing our content or participating, leaving a comment, all those things. And so we're trying to give you the best viewer experience possible. And so you shouldn't be getting any ads. I had 7 ads in a live stream once. Well, to be fair, I have been battling with YouTube, and their automated things I'm fighting with. They're like, prove it. We don't think it does that. And I'm like, I'm telling you, it does. Thanks for everything you do. Go eat the potato soup. I got 30 minutes till I'm done. And then I go eat. Dinner waits. I got 2 ads in the beginning. Yeah, there's going to be whatever they do at the beginning, and there should be nothing after that. But when this is done, it'll show no ads, and then about an hour and a half later, it'll insert like 100 ads in the 2 hours, and I got to come back and delete them all. So usually there'll be someone like, so many ads, I can't watch this. And it's like, I know. I literally have done every setting I can to turn this off, and they're like, you shouldn't have that problem. Yet I do. So, like today I'm going to work at the store again after I live stream, and it probably won't be till like 9 or 10 p.m. Pacific time that I delete all those ads out for you. So worst case scenario, listen on the podcast ad-free, or wait 6 hours and or till tomorrow it'll be ad-free. Tell them to come watch the live stream. They want me to prove it by recording my process of setting the live stream up and then recording the whole live stream And then the ending of it, they basically want a 7-hour video and be like, this is because they can't find how it's going wrong. And I'm like, I'm not sure how, but I'm telling you it is. Because I'm sending you the screenshots, I'm showing you. And so they want me to do that. And I'm like, I don't have a 7-hour like uninterrupted time to just be like, here you go, here it is. So I gotta like set a whole day aside, and then hopefully they'll be able to fix it. Do I still have the Fly River turtle? Yep. Elmer is at the store. You can visit him anytime you'd like. I love the Aquarium Co-op ads. We need more Dean commercials. Don't get that guy started. Yeah. I'm trying to convince Dean to participate on the forum too. And he said, well, if you make me my own section, I go, I'll make you Dean's World, Dean's Fish Room. And then he got quiet. So I'm still trying to convince him to do more. That dude's always busy, but it's like the people want you. Yeah, I've been on YouTube for a long time, and in my opinion, when premium was cheaper and the ads weren't so egregious and there wasn't so many unskippables and blah blah blah, it was, in my opinion, fair. Someone makes content, you see maybe one video in the middle of a 10-minute thing and one at the beginning, sure, right? But now they'll literally, like, you can get served so many ads, and they're taking this aggressive approach of like, let's make a lot of money with ads and bully everybody into having to watch them. And that's where I'm like, I'm willing to work with you. I'm not willing to work against you. And so if you don't allow me to set the amount of ads and make it easy, then I'm just not going to show ads. So any headway on member benefits outside the US? Zero headway, Mike Casey. It's on the radar. I didn't even make my post yet. I still want to make a post on the forum of like, hey, come up with ideas, and we'll see. Because I wanted to write it correctly. Because if I just say come up with ideas, people will shoot out 10,000 ideas, and it won't help. I need to say, hey, we want to see, like, let's come up with like 100 ideas, knowing that if we've done our jobs right, one of them might be worthy of implementation. And so I want to have long thought out conversations and actually try to develop something for you, and not just something super half baked. So, and they do come up in the meetings, and we go, okay, well, we got more to think, more to figure out on that. We'll circle back on that. So, yeah. Yeah, block the ads, buy the nano food. That's what I'm saying. If you guys, I would rather, if we, make our money on you buying our products, that's a win for us and a win for you, I think. Let's see here. Dang, I just saw something I wanted to... Jared Chase says, did you know you can fit 340 hot dogs into a 10-gallon tank? See, normally I would be like, there's no way, but I know that my... So, again, back to the original. 340 hot dogs in a 10 gallons sounds impossible. 340 hot dogs in 2 5-gallon buckets, all of a sudden I'm like, I could see that. And then if you go, hold on, 340 hot dogs in 10 1-gallon milk containers, so 34 hot dogs in a milk container, I bet you that works. Like that space awareness, that hot dog math escapes me. Mike Fish gifting a sub or a membership. Thank you much, buddy. YouTube now has ads on channels that aren't monetized. YouTube keeps all the profit, and they totally should. See, I am in the camp that YouTube needs to make money, and they allow millions and millions, probably even billions, of people to upload content, and it costs them money. And no business should have to run at a loss. I believe that we want to keep around, right? I guess there's some qualifying statements there. So, like, I do believe that YouTube needs to make money from what I'm doing. I do believe that. I just think that there are ways to do that don't have to be so off-putting. So, for instance, they make a portion of all the memberships. Hey, that's not so off-putting. We provide you guys an extra service. You guys seem to enjoy it. That sounds great. YouTube Premium, I thought was a pretty good bargain. Family membership and all that. And then some of the like it's up to what, like 30 euros in the Netherlands, and I'm like, that is crazy talk. We're talking about YouTube here, like, and I still believe that the biggest perk to any membership on a channel should be ad free. I will champion that every time I talk to YouTube. When you're a member for that channel, you are ad free on that channel. That would be so great for creators. It would be great for YouTube. I believe any path forward, the best win for everybody is when you want to pay for something and you feel good for it. That is the best thing. Not everything in life has to be free. And in fact, there's lots of studies that show your life is better when you pay for something and you feel like you got great value and the person you bought from felt like they got good money for it. Everybody won and everybody was super happy. That is the best circle. So, I believe that, yes, I do need to be paying YouTube something for what they allow me to do. I do believe that. But I also make them money, so they also need to do things to help me as well. It needs to be mutually beneficial. And then I'm nobody if you guys don't show up. So I also believe it has to be good for you as well. And you need to navigate all of those things to have a working circle of business. And I believe they're putting a lot of speed bumps on their part of the circle. And so I'm trying to get rid of a lot of those. Let's see. No problem with YouTube ads, but they should share it with the video creators they're making money off of. No monetization without representation. Sure, I have no problem with that, Fish Nomad. The only part is this. How much did the person pay to upload that on YouTube? Right? They didn't. So they did a thing. So you can go, I can make a video about my fish room, I can share it with all my friends, my family, all of that, and I will pay YouTube nothing. But it costs them some money. Not a ton, but amplify that millions and billions of times, it will cost them a lot. And so they're going, hey, this thing over here we're letting people do for free costs us money. Let's make money from that instead. And if you say, whoa, you're making money off me, YouTube should say, great, we will then delete all your content. You have the option. We'll delete all your content, or B, you'll pay us X amount a month. Or C, you have the option, we'll provide ads and it'll be free. Most things on the internet work that way. You go like, oh, I went and read this thing, there was ads on the side, that was fine. Most people will choose a free option with ads, especially if they're not too egregious, than paying for something. There's always the option to pay for things in life. So, if you say, hey, I don't like YouTube making money off my videos for free, go to Vimeo and then be like, wait, I got to pay $50 a month to upload videos? That sucks. Yeah, then go do it on free on YouTube, right? Or just do it on Facebook. There's a lot of avenues. But I do believe that for a full circle of business, everybody needs to be happy, and it's not easy to make everybody happy. There's always going to be someone that wants, I wish I was getting the better end. And I know in business is the best when no one feels like they're the one not getting the good end of the stick. Any data for ads for first-time customers versus existing customers? So are ads more likely to attract first-timers or existing customers? Sorry, this is just interesting to me. Like on Facebook, on average, it targets people that already buys from us, but it does bring in some new people. Let's see. You can never make everybody happy? You cannot. Yeah. I as I get older, which I'm 41 at this point, I'm pretty much only trying to make people around me happy. Which people were always like, you're making an echo chamber, and now at 41 I embrace that and I go, you're dang right I am, because I don't want wide open everybody screaming at me. And what I mean by is, like, I don't want to read about your uncle's, sister's, niece's football team. I just don't care. I just don't care. I want to learn about fish. I want to learn about my niece's football team, or Girl Scouts, or their iPad, or their birthday, or whatever. And I believe by curating what's around you, you're more likely to enjoy what's around you. So if I make it so that people that are hanging out in the chat and around me think like me, I'm more likely to have conversations I'm interested in. Now, people will point out, but then you won't learn other things. True, until I go, hey, I want to learn about that. And then I Google it and I surround myself with people that are doing the thing I want to learn about. And so I don't believe it's always got to be a black or white situation in that it's all or nothing. I think there's could be, hey, I'm willing to take all of this, but not this. And so if tomorrow I wake up and I'm all about saltwater, guess what? My circle is going to bring in a lot of saltwater stuff to me because that's what I want to do. And if I want to get into reptiles, that's what I'm going to do. If I want to get into potato soup making, that's what I'm going to do. And if you guys are like, I hate potato soup, saltwater aquariums, and reptiles, like, great, you will go to other circles. It'll be great. It'll be fine. So, but if you're hanging out in this little circle, I talk about 10-gallon aquariums, community tanks, plants, guppies, and all that stuff all day long, every day, because that's what I'm passionate about. And yeah, if you want to talk about Central American cichlids, you can do it. I'm not gonna say you can't, but there's gonna be better communities that will thrive because more people will do that there. So let's see here. The soup stigma. That's right. Let's see here. Talking about soup. Some kind of angelfish having a seizure. The new foods are awesome. Love to hear it. Okay, here we go. Recently went to an aquarium and saw fish kept in fish keeping that are much older and larger than would be expected. Do y'all feel as if a greater standard lifespan or size can be normal in our hobby? 100% could be. The most simple thing would be we could just put a priority on longevity when breeding fish. Right now, we put priority on basically color is really what we do. And that's it. And so if we judged fish on, hey, when I bought those fish from Corey, they only lasted a year, I'll stop buying from him. And that became a normal thing. My natural reaction would be like, well, I need to get my fish to live 2 or 3 years. And then people will buy my fish. And so we're not rewarding necessarily the right thing. We're basically buying the shiniest thing and not the longevity thing. And so until we're asking the right questions, until we're doing that, we won't get the results we want. If we want longer living fish, we need to work on that. Kind of same thing with dogs, right? If you just want the cheapest dog, a lot of times it might have like, ooh, it's got hip dysplasia, it's got this, it's got that. Where if you buy from a breeder, they might be like, yeah, I'm 8 generations deep trying to prevent the hip dysplasia. And my animals cost more money, but the odds of getting the hip dysplasia are at 30% instead of it was at 70 when we started. And if you do that long enough and the whole person that loves that breed of dog, they all work on it, 30 years later, you can't find that breed of dog that has that problem anymore. Same thing would happen with fish. If we all focused on just how fish long they lived, fish would last forever. I jumped on to buy a 24-inch light. It's now sold out. Uh-oh. Are we actually sold out of 24-inch lights like forever now? Let me see. That's gonna be a sad day for me. I kind of really hope not. That's gonna be real sad. It is. We will never sell another 24-inch light online. Oof. That's a big bummer. I want to see how many we got left at the store. I've been thinking the last couple weeks, like, should I just pull like a batch of lights just for my own? Like, I've made the light I love, and then in a few months, I can't even get the light I really like. And I hate that. I haven't yet because I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. We've got 61 left at the store. So, a moment of silence for the lights. A 20-inch. We got those left. We have 6 20 inches They could be yours. Oh. Ugh. What do we have at 30s? Do we have a bunch of 30s? We got 154 30s. You got a 20 long, you're golden for like a month, maybe. At some point, there's going to be a store that snatches all these up, and it's kind of like a pro gamer move. Like, it's like buying stock almost, in my opinion. Just buy them all up. I won't do it because it's like insider trading for me. We still, like, in a perfect world, if we were greedy in business, we would only sell them online and not sell them to stores. But we want to be fair. So if we're out, stores are out, all that, like, they can buy them. We're not holding them back. Yep. It's a somber mood for me. Oh, we sad times. What happened with the lights? Basically, the manufacturer of the lights, they want to focus on hydroponic slash grow lights, basically. If you're growing marijuana, you're willing to spend way more on lights, and there's a bigger market for that at the moment. And so they're like, we're all in on that and not doing your lights anymore. And we're like, what? And so they said, well, we do one more, but we're upping at 15%. Like, what? And we won't do more after that, even if we do the one. And it's going to be delayed because we've got all these other big orders. And I'm like, well, so we're going to run out anyway, and then you would get us some more, but they would cost 15% more. Like, that's just worse on every level, so we're just not going to do that. And so now we have to find a new manufacturer that could build these specifications. We'd have to get them recertified again because our lights are certified and all of that, and make sure we have the same negotiations where they'd have a 3-year warranty and everything. And that's going to take time. So there's going to be some amount of time that we just won't have lights for sale. And that could be a year, 2 years, could be 6 months. Well, it won't be 6 months. It'll be like a year or more, basically. So we've got what we've got. Get them while you're getting them. Otherwise, you have to buy other lights. And I see it more and more already. Like, what about this light? What about that light? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. All right. Pull some for yourself. We won't tell. I have one 36-inch brand new, and I've got this one like right here, this little 12-inch guy. I've got some used ones laying around. Some of the old version ones that didn't have the LED display. I mean, they're still used, but they're not brand new. Let's see here. Ironically, your light is great at growing houseplants. Yeah, I mean, they're good at growing plants. They were designed to do that. And I love the spectrum. I even tried to put other lights on this new rack, and I was like, oh, those look terrible. Because I was trying to, like, I should probably start transitioning. Maybe we'll sell something else. And I was like, but these are literally look terrible compared to our lights. And I have my lights sitting right here. Why would I go spend more money on other lights? So I put my own lights on them, and they look amazing. But such is life. Will the cookie cutter guides be updated for newbies? Yes. One of my projects, I keep meaning to do it every day. I want to take the cookie cutter setups that we have in the help section and move them to the forum. And the reason I haven't is I got to make sure I can do it the way I want. Basically, what I want is only mods can start the topic, but everybody else could leave comments. And so I want to go, hey, here's these like cookie cutter setups for a 10-gallon. But then everybody else could leave posts on the forum of like, here's my recommendation. And then we could update those over time of like, yeah, I think that's a good fit. Yeah, I think that's a good fit. And then we'd eventually just have like, yeah, 5-gallon, 10-gallon, 20-gallon, 30-gallon, 55-gallon, and make it real simple for people and get the right links in there and all of that. And I want to work on building that out. But I don't want it so that like people can start like cookie cutter ideas for an 11.69 gallon. Like what? Like random weird sizes. We want to keep it real streamlined and, curate it so that it's a very helpful resource in a different section of the forum. And so, that's the plan. But got to make sure that I can set that forum to only moderators making a topic, but everybody could post on it. That's the goal there. Let's see. Hey, everybody. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Well, we're doing pretty good, Penny's Fish Keeping, I gotta say. Doing pretty good. I got potato soup. when I'm done with this, and then I go to the store and I play with the fishes, and I'm going to bring some fish back. Corey, please stop telling everybody about rosy barbs eating hair algae. They've been sold out everywhere since you mentioned it. Do they go by any other name? Mostly rosy barb, neon rosy barb, longfin rosy barb. We have them in our store. We keep buying them. In fact, I'm bringing some more home for the 800 gallon, I think. I love them back here, but I want them to eat some algae over there. So I don't know if I'm going to run them in 2 tanks or just move them all to the 800 and then maybe try gold barbs or something else here. I actually have, in one of the 10 gallons, I've got some, I want to see if they'll eat bladderwort. And so I want to quarantine the ones I bring from the store home in there, see if they'll eat bladderwort. And that's actually another forum post I'm going to start, is basically barbs. I want before and after pictures of different types of barbs eating algae. Because in the Facebook group, someone got black ruby barbs, and they said, hey, they're eating algae. And I said, hey, do me a favor. Keep pinging me like once a week and show me the difference. And yes, their black ruby barbs are eating algae. Not quite at the pace of these rosy barbs are, but I have a feeling that, maybe 33% of all the barbs will be good algae eaters, and we're just not documenting it well, so we could work on that project and go, hey, these do too, or these ones, not so much on those ones. But these ones over here, they're doing real good. Funny enough, I use a grow light for MJ on my 100-gallon river tank. About 20 rainbow fish. How many more do you think I can have? And it's a fully planted. 100-gallon tank. So 100 gallons like this size, a little shorter, and you got 20. You could probably do like another 10 to 15. Depends if you like it looking really full or not so full. Not a fan of small fin nippers. It's annoying. I don't really notice any fin nipping on the rosy barbs, and I don't see it on cherry barbs either. I think barbs get a bad rap, but some are warranted for sure. But I think overall there's a big group of fish getting categorized like, oh, them's bad, when really it's like, well, there's a few of them that are kind of nippy, honestly. Yeah, my filament barbs eat all the algae. I've got some at the store that if they're still there, I still play by the rules. The rules are they got to be in the store for sale for at least 1 week before any employee can buy them. And so maybe you're not, I'll take them home, and I'll take them home for testing. And then I'll fall in love with them. They'll never go back. I use gold bars in my geophagus tank to control algae. It worked out very well. All right, Tyler, I'm taking your word for it. I've met you in person. We've conversed through email. You show up to my live streams. I've come to value your opinion because you typically don't make a wild accusation. So if you're telling me they're eating algae for you, I will attempt that here. So maybe I'll move reds to the 800 gallon. I'll try golds back here, and we'll see how that goes. Florida flagfish will stay ahead of algae, but did find they aren't good at cleaning it out if you've already behind it. Yeah, flagfish, they can also be a little bit hard on plants, and they don't have, in my opinion, they don't have the color. Males do, but like these rosy barbs, I literally kept them because I thought they looked so cool, and then found out they eat the algae. Like, they're that cool. Where flagfish are like, yeah, I'm pretty much only keeping those because they'll pick at the algae. Like, they're okay and they're breedable and they're kind of cool. You get the right sunlight and the right tank. Like, ooh, that's a good looking fish. Only need like 2 of those. Don't need more than that. But these guys, I want more whether they eat algae or not. Red bitterlings also eat some algae. I've read that too, but I've never kept them in quantities enough, and they've always been kind of expensive and hard to get, the Chinese bitterling. So, but, yeah, I would love to document more of that kind of stuff, because I think it's just, one, it's in our wheelhouse. We got, 760 people here. We were all kept some barbs at some point. We've all got algae, and sharing these experiences documented where we can search and bring them up, I think is going to help us long term. So, and maybe we go, hey, there's 6 different barbs that will eat algae. Great, that are available in the hobby and easy to get. Good. And then we can go, let's focus on hydra. All right, let's focus on snail eaters. What are actual good snail eaters? And planaria eaters and some of that kind of stuff. So I think we could do it. The Rosies in Dan's warehouse tank are looking great. I mean, Rosie Barbs in general look good. They color up fast, and these aren't even super adults yet. When they get really mature, they are one of the best looking fish, in my opinion. Uh-oh. Wincy wanted to let you know all the soup is gone. My dogs would eat it, too. They would do it to spite me. Aquarium Co-op. Hang on back made with flow science. If we make a hang on back, I really want to make it air powered, just because I think it's crazy efficient, and yeah. Instincts with Z's says, have recently proven over the last 14 months that assassin snails really do, in fact, eat planaria. That has been my observation and other people's observations from 2005, 2010, 2015, different random little forum posts on different forums. If you wanted to be an all-star Instincts, you would make a post about that on the forum and like set up a test. Like set up a tank, put planaria, take pictures of hella bad planaria. I can't believe I used the word hella. I haven't said that word in so long. I don't know why I defaulted to that. And then put in the snails and document like how long it took to get rid of them. And then we could have a few other people do that. And then we'd have like, wow, that looks to be a winning recipe. And then if it goes out to the masses and everyone goes, hey, it's fixing my problem, then we have solved one of the things in the aquarium trade for everybody. And I think that would be great to do. And forums and people have been doing that for many, 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 many years. I would love to just go, hey, we've got 1 million people. Let's herd them into making the hobby better in this way. So, yeah. All right. Even though the subscribers keep going up, or the viewers keep going up, I've got to eat soup and then I got to go work, which I realize it will work, but I basically got to go on my lunch break and then go back to work at the store. So I will be back next Sunday. I encourage you all to hang out with me on the forum. I basically always on the forum, anytime I get a free second. I'm on Facebook and comment section and stuff too, but you don't get lost in the feeds like you will on the social media. On the forum, it's a slower thing, and I can follow up, and I actually get the notifications because we control it and all of that. So, yeah, do me a favor, buy all of our stuff. That would be super duper helpful. I appreciate that in every way. I appreciate everyone who donated, members who became members today, especially all the people that showed up. You know, the numbers are growing again. 767. I don't like it too much when we get above 1,000 or so. Chat starts getting out of control. But I do like seeing a healthy number show up. You guys hang out with me, and I'll keep trying to make the shows a little better. And might not be any video this week. I figure I'd rather hang out with you guys one-on-one. And I'm trying to put more... that's just a lie. I didn't have time to make a video. I'm trying... Like, I didn't film with Dean at all because I was like, that's just another video of setting up a rack. Who cares? I mean, I know you guys care and you would watch it, but I want to kind of get more of the fish in there and have it look cooler so you might pay attention a little more. And then same thing, I might do a follow-up on all the lower lighting. The algae is looking way better, but I want to look at the video and compare tank to tank and go, is it visually that much better? And then show you guys like, hey, in this many days, this is the result. And hopefully, because we're doing, every time I make a video, we make a forum post now so you can discuss it. And the hope is that someone will stumble upon, hey, turning the light down, got rid of algae, and then a bunch of information, and then here's the before, here's the after, and all of those things long term, so that we can find those instead of just going, let me post on Facebook, and then getting 87 people going, I think a thing happened one time, maybe a thing. Instead, you can go, hey, same thing, but pictures and evidence and that. So, thanks for hanging out. I will see you guys Sunday. I will be around commenting and looking at your guys' stuff as I always do. Thanks for supporting and everything we do. Hopefully we'll have more announcements. I've got a lot of, I think I've got a lot of fun stuff in the works, and hopefully coming out this month, 2 to 3 things that could launch at any moment. But buy your stuff anyway, because it also, with the ports, could also be like, doesn't launch till February, because ports do what ports do, and that is whatever they want. Who knew? So... Alrighty, we'll see you around. Thanks for the last minute club chat. Enjoy the soup and the fish room. Hope to see everybody else there too. Later. Bye-bye.